Okay. So, where was your hometown? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Winter Park Memorial Hospital in 1962.
Oh,
So
okay. So you're a Winter Park native.
I'm a Central Florida boy.
Okay. Did you attend college or university at all?
Yeah, I went to UCF. I
UCF.
actually
Okay.
I went to UCF and then I went to Seminole Community College and then I went back to UCF.
Okay. What was your major?
It was in business administration.
Okay. And what made you want to amass this photo collection?
Well, I have been into photography since I was 15 years old. And when digital photography came out, it made it a lot less expensive to uh, do as many photographs as you wanted to, and you could just delete the ones that didn't apply anymore or weren't as good as you wanted them to be or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So digital photography made a great big difference because it became then a lot less expensive.
Okay. And how did you originally get into photography?
Really, my father bought a nice single reflex lens camera, and I practiced with that. Used to go out to the beach and take photos out there, and a few other places, and then and that's how I got started. I did end up as an elective taking a photography course at UCF,
Okay.
which was a lot of fun.
So how has your photographic practice changed over the years, aside from the adjustment
Well,
to digital, which you mentioned?
I do it as a hobby. It
Mm-hmm.
is not it's not my profession. So I was laughing as I was going through some of the photos because I have gotten much better timing wise than I was back in the old days when I started out, and I thought I was better than I was.
Ha. No, you had some funny ones in there. Okay, so how did you get involved in this topic of LGBTQ athletics?
Well, I don't know. I guess I got swept into it. I didn't even come out of the closet officially to everybody until I was about 30 or 31 years old. And up to that point, it was in stages. So a few people knew when I was 15 years old, but not many people at all. I wouldn't even say a handful. So just a couple of people knew at that point. As I got older, and because I love photography, I would bring my camera with me wherever I was going, or plan on it and then go cover whatever I wanted to cover. And that's how I got started with it. And then as I was doing and getting better with the photography, some of the other sports like the tennis league, I had friends that played in that. So they would ask me to come out and take pictures while they were in tournaments or whatever. And I've been asked to go out to the kickball league, although somebody else is doing them right now. I haven't been out there yet. And that's kind of how that goes anyway, because somebody will say, are you going to go out and photograph this? And that'll be like, oh, maybe I should. So that's where a lot of the photos from outside the league
Mm-hmm.
started. Yeah.
All right. So when they ask you to take photographs, would they use them for promotional material or just to have someone to document the memories?
Typically, it's to document the memories. I had an issue once where one of the sponsors used the photos without permission, and one of the people in the photo did not want to be in the photo as a advertisement, and that was the only issue, and it was a minor one. The guy who did it then turned around and had his own photographer come out to the field and take pictures so that they could use them for advertising. And I don't have a problem with, like, the league can use them for advertising or promoting the league, and I really wouldn't have a problem with a sponsor using them, other than I want them to get my permission first so that I can make sure whatever pictures they want to use, the people in them are okay with being in.
Yeah. So how specifically did you get involved with the Central Florida Softball League?
I have been okay. I was I was involved with it right before the league started. Russ Crumley, Vince Cayley, and I think Russ Spears had talked about the idea, and I think Russ Crumley and Vince Cayley were the two that talked about it the most or had the idea. Then they had meetings at a couple of people's houses, and I was initially at those very original meetings, but that was because I was invited by Tom Dyer. Tom owned the Watermark newspaper at the time, and so they contacted the Watermark so that they could promote the founding of the league and everything through the Watermark newspaper, and then asked Tom if he wanted to try to put together a team. And at that time, Tom and I shared office space. I'm an accountant for a living, so he was in the next office to me. And he knew my whole family. When we were raised, it was you played sports, you joined the band, and you got a good mixture of things that we did as we were expected to do when we were growing up. So sports for me was baseball. And so he knew that background. He asked me if I would be involved with it, and I ended up coaching the too. At the original meetings, before the league started and even after the league started, we had some debates about what the rules should be. And it was funny because I grew up playing baseball, coaching baseball, and then as an umpire in baseball. And I'm like, we're just gay. We're not any different than anybody else. We don't need special rules. So anytime somebody wanted a special rule, it was one that would help their team. So they were going to ask for it. And I would argue against it because it was a special rule. So it was kind of cute because I'm fairly well liked, but at some of those meetings at different times, I think pretty much every manager at some point hated me because they wanted a rule and I would argue against it. We did
Yes.
start a rule. We started a rule that they use in the other leagues now, and that is the one where, and I can't swear every other league, like the county leagues and the city leagues, use them, but I've run across some that do now over the years. But if you are missing people, you can be, as long as you have 7 original players, you can add up to 2 players. You still have to play with a deficit, so you play with 9 instead of playing with 10, but you don't forfeit. And that's good for the other team too, because then they get to play. So that's the only rule that I liked.
So when a CFSL was formed, did they have a specific reason for forming it?
You're going to, the best person on that would probably be Vince Cayley to ask that. A special reason, yes. It was originally all gay. There were no straight players in I don't think for the first year or two. And then for a long time, we really only had one straight player, and he was great. And he was invited to join the league because he was a friend of Russ's and Vince's. So he got to play, but he was like the only straight player we had for years. And the main, and I understood it, but the main reason back then, I guess I understood it because I was closeted for so long, but was that people who came out to play did not want to run into somebody from work and then get outed at work. And if we had too many straight players there, that would be more likely to happen. So I understood the concern. That kind of has gone away. There are very few players in the league now that, well, all of them are aware that we have straight players. So that's not the issue. And there are very few that when I'm doing the photography, only a couple of people don't want to be in photographs. So, and I'm touchy about that because I want to protect their privacy. If they want their privacy protected, I want their privacy protected too.
So was this originally just for gay men, or were gay women involved too? Because a lot of the photos had unisex teams.
Yes. So you got to realize that the majority of those photos were after the first 2 or 3 years of the league. In the very first season, I think we had 5 or 6 teams. There was a women's team, and they were great. and it was funny because one of the men's team was stacked and they were pretty hard to beat. My Watermark team, I was very proud of my team because we were good, and the guys were awesome, and we put up a good fight against that team. And the women put up a great fight, but the women's team was awesome because they had played together for years, and wherever you put somebody in the field, they would hit around it. So they could place hit anywhere they wanted to in the field. They also had one woman that could hit it out of the ballpark. If she got the right pitch, she could hit a home run out of the park. So, and that was fun to watch. And so I probably sound like a dick, or sorry, I probably sound bad saying it, but you would think if you're a men's team against a women's team that you were going to be able to run all over them, and you absolutely could not run all over them. They were really, really good. And you have different types of players. Some players want to go out and just have fun. They don't really care if they win or lose. Although I might be overstating that, because you get out there on the field, you want to win. It's more fun to win than it is to lose. So, but a lot of the players are out there. They're there for the camaraderie and the beer after the. I shouldn't say that either, because we're not allowed to drink beer at the park. But apple juice. There is apple juice shared after the games, that kind of thing. So, it has been just a tremendous amount of fun from the very beginning. I wish I had more pictures of the first couple of seasons, but I didn't really even think about taking, I was busy coaching. So I didn't think too much about bringing a camera out there and doing photographs while we were playing. I was trying to win.
So what was community outreach like?
You mean you mean from the league community outreach?
Yeah,
or you mean
like
just in general
recruiting
back in the
players
day?
or promoting.
This league has grown from those first few teams, and now we ended up, I think we hit the 600 mark right before COVID. So we had that many people involved with the league. There are technically now two leagues. One is NAGA, it's one league. We have two national representations. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but the women's division is ASANA, which is a national organization for the women's division. And then NAGA has a national organization for the open division, which can be men and women. And a lot of, like you noticed in the pictures, a lot of the teams have both men and women on them. So, so the women have it nice in our league right now because they have their division and they can play in the open division. So they can play a couple of games in a day or more. And some of those women really just love to play. So they'll, if you have a doubleheader in your women's division and then you had a doubleheader in your open team, you'd be playing 4 games that day.
So, in your opinion, what made queer athletics attractive to people, or what made them want to join those sorts of teams?
Well, I think because you have queer people everywhere. So, if you are on a baseball team or on a softball team and you're not as comfortable because you can't be as out as you want to be or be out at all. When we formed the league, it wasn't that cool to be out. So you could go and be around like-minded people. And it was more comfortable, and you could just be yourself and play ball and have a great time.
So what is the significance you perceive in your work as a photographer?
I don't know if I would even call it significant, but it's my contribution to the league. I like to make sure that people have a memento of their time with the league. So I have most of my photos are published on my website. I get rid of anything that's embarrassing. If somebody's making a weird face or they're, striking out or something like that, then I get rid of those photos because then they can go online. I put a post on Facebook and they can go into Facebook and link to it, and they can download all the pictures of themselves that they want for free. So yeah, there's no charge at all. Like I said, I just really want people to have a memento of their time with the league. Because when we started the league, I had hair and I was skinnier.
So were or are you involved in other aspects of the LGBTQ community?
I have been over the years. Back in the mid and late 80s, I was a volunteer at the Hope and Help Center, and I ended up on the board of directors for Hope and Help. You probably have heard of the headdress ball. I helped with that. I did the advertising for the brochure that went with the headdress ball. So I was proud of that. We'd raise about $10,000 or more every year just from that.
Yeah, and just for people who wouldn't know, could you describe what the headdress ball was?
Well, the headdress ball was put on by Hope and Help every year. It was started by two of the founders of Hope and Help, and it started out as a fundraiser for people with HIV and AIDS. And all it was to do was to make money that could be distributed to them. That was back in the days when if you got an HIV diagnosis, that you almost certainly were not going to live through it. So it was a very sad time, but it was a very necessary organization. And when I was involved with it, there were 3 or 4 HIV sources in the Central Florida area, and most of them provided clothing, food, social needs. And when I say social, I mean like psychological, social needs, and money to get things done and get people to doctor's appointments and whatever they needed to do.
So why did you, oh, sorry, continue.
I was going to say, so I was involved with that. And then peripherally, through some of the things that Watermark did, I would do some photographs for them at different events if they asked me to, or they, if they knew I was going to be there, they'd ask me to bring the camera in and make sure we got some pictures of a parade here and there. And through Tom Dyer. Tom is also somebody who you should interview. He's been very active in the community over the years. He's had his hand in a lot of different pots.
So why did you decide to donate this collection to the LGBTQ History Museum?
Well, it is a significant part of the photography that I've done, and I didn't want it to disappear. When, if I move away or if something happens to me, I don't want all of that to just go away and not be enjoyed for years to come.
And yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for answering my questions.
You're welcome.